What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the SuperScope podcast, your wrap up in this week's biggest gaming stories, leaks, and rumors. We're back with episode 29 on Sunday, May 1st, 2022. I am your host, Retro Game Dude, and of course, joining me as always is my co host, Dice Gory Aurora of Phoenix Aurora Gaming. Feel free to join the discussion live on Twitch or in the Discord. And if you are watching this on YouTube, tap the like button, hit subscribe. It goes a long way. And of course, you can still find us on our audio version of this show on Stitcher, Spotify, and Google Podcasts, all hosted on Anchor. So what's going on, man? How you been?
Staying busy.
Haven't seen you in 24 hours.
Yeah, I was gonna say not only have we've been doing stuff obviously all throughout the week, but it feels like the podcasts are happening days apart.
Mhm.
Like this is the second time in a row where we did a podcast that felt like we just did a podcast for me personally.
Yeah. That's why I was like, should we take a week? I was just kind of thinking, should we take a week off? Did enough stuff happen between then and now? But I guess we've got quite a bit of a show on deck.
It was I was after dinner. I sat on the couch with the wife. We were watching Doctor Who a little bit, and she looks at me, and I'm like, I gotta get up, and she's like, what for? And I was like, I have a podcast to do, and she's like, it's Sunday, and I was like, dude, you're telling me
The week went quick. It's a weird one.
Yeah.
But I guess time flies when you're having fun, because we certainly were playing some games this week.
Absolutely.
Yeah, played some Star Wars, Lego Star Wars, the Skywalker Saga on Steam. Stream, not Steam. That's a fun game. It's obviously not I would say a skill ramp game, but it's definitely fun because they kind of take their own humor and kind of inject it into the Star Wars universe. And I think we got through episode 1, partway through episode 2, and I would say playing it, this is my first soiree, and I would say a Lego themed game, like theme as in like it's themed from another franchise. And
Yeah.
I wasn't used to, I guess, being like a very, very abridged version of the story. So it was just the pacing was a little different than what I was expecting in episode 1. The story was a little different at the end there. Wasn't expecting that ending. It just seemed like things didn't happen in the order of the movie. And then there was, of course, the movie scene where I guess they met Anakin and all that stuff. And it was that was a 45-minute part of the movie, and it was just knocked out in 10 seconds. It was we found Anakin. Oh, hey, let's go pod racing. Oh, well, if we go pod racing, we'll free the kid. And it's this is not how that happened. But it's almost it's almost satirical in itself, just the pacing like that. But we had a good time with it. We're finding some hollow bricks, and we're upgrading our skills, so we're having fun.
Definitely.
Jackbox is a little slow last night. I think people are just getting out because it's probably the first nice summer since we've all been locked up for the last 2 years because of this pandemic. So I think with it being nice out, people are just not around. We usually get pull players from the Jackbox official Discord and stuff, and there was just, you could see people weren't even advertising that they were hosting versus even people playing. So it was a slow night. We ended up playing some Gartic Phone, and then we called it a night. But I would say with having very successful streams for almost a year straight, sometimes you're going to have a shitty stream. It's just the way it is. But yeah, so we did that this week, and of course then Sundays we're here doing the podcast. And then this week in the Discord we are doing movie nights, so we're going to be watching The Goonies because someone hasn't seen it yet, and I think that's pretty much a cardinal sin. So
I know a little bit about the movie. I'm aware that there's one part where they get a bunch of mushrooms together and they do the cup game with them, the truffle shuffle they call it. So I know that's in there.
All right, folks. Well, we'll be back next week with another SuperScope podcast. Oh my god, that was beyond offensive. There's the Discord then, if anyone at home wants to join us. We're very community oriented in the Discord there, so feel free to come in, hang out, spam your artwork, spam your hobbies, show us what you're working on. We're always having a good time doing that. So I definitely played a couple games this week out of the ordinary. You played anything new this week?
Let's see. I played a little bit of Vampire Survivor in downtime. I played Final Fantasy 14. We did we've been doing experts and stuff, our raid runs. I did not get a chance to actually play it, but on the mobile phone, Echoes of Mana is out as of a couple days ago,
I
which it looks like some
saw.
sort of Mana crossover game
Hmm.
with different characters. So that was cool. But I didn't actually get to play it. I got the alert that it was ready. I downloaded it, and then I forgot I downloaded it until like now. So can't really talk about if it was good or not.
Right. I'm so wary of
And then
mobile
I,
games.
yeah, I
Scared the
like.
shit
There's
out of me.
sometimes I've had some good ones and I've had some bad ones. Like, and it sucks because sometimes it starts good. Like, remember I talked about way back earlier on the podcast. I talked about the Near Automata game. Near, I forget the name now, but you knew what I'm talking about. There was a Near
Mhm.
Automata, Near Replicant like tie-in game, and it started great and it was great for a while, and then all of a sudden it got really difficulty gated in a way that tried to get you to like, hey, this would be easier if you just bought some materials or whatever. And it was like, okay.
Sure.
So and that was a shame because I was interested in what they were doing. They were telling some story and stuff, and it was interesting. And then all of a sudden they were just like, like you better get some better gear and some better characters. And I was like, oh, I see what you're doing.
Hmm.
So that I fell out of. But like I've had a few decent mobile game experiences, depending on who makes them and what they are. Usually it's hit or miss.
Anything come to mind? Because
Um,
I hunt up and down that Google Play Store for something interesting to play, and it's like I get 5 minutes out of something, and it's like, oh, paywall, and I'm like, all right, like, oh, take another turn
honestly,
here, buy 5 gems. It's like, get out of my face with this bullshit.
my go-to Android games right now are like Ascension, which is like I don't know if you ever played a deck building card game, but it's
Hmm.
basically like it's a deck building card game. So you all get a deck of 10 cards to start that are resources, 8 of which are like money and 2 of which are like attack power. And then there's a big deck of cards that represent the rest of the deck, and then you lay out a bunch of them, and then you can use the money cards to buy cards, or you can use the power cards to slay monsters.
Hmm.
And then the whole point of the game is you earn currency. You earn another kind of currency called honor for killing enemies. And all the cards have a value in the bottom right corner that is like how much honor they're worth inherently. And the game ends when all of the honor has been drained from the honor pool. Like you have a starting amount like 120 or something. Once that hits zero, everyone tallies up how much honor they have, and then you win based on whoever had the most.
Okay.
Um, it's awesome because it gives you like it's like kind of like how in Magic you have draft where you can like build a deck from your stuff.
Hmm.
It's like that, except the drafting part you're playing because you have nothing. All you have is like some resources to buy and a couple resources to kill. And right off the rip, you have to look at the board and be like, okay, that dude draws me 2 cards and discards a card and he costs 3. I'll take that. And it goes to your discard pile. And then next turn you draw next 5 and you go, okay, that guy costs 3 and he does 2 damage. I'll buy that card. And then you put it in the pile and then the rest of your cards go. And then once you've run out of cards, which you would after 2 turns, you pick up the whole pile and you shuffle it and it becomes a 12 card deck, including the 2 cards you bought.
Hmm.
And then your deck gets better every couple of rounds because you're buying cards to go to your deck, and then redrawing your entire deck is like your discard pile becomes your deck again, and then now your deck is better. You get the idea.
That's cool.
It's super fun to play, and I've been playing it for years. Actually, I keep coming back to it and just messing around with it from time to time. It's on Steam as well, and on Steam you can play against other people. So maybe one day we'll pick that up and do that or something.
I'll take a look at it sometime. I'm always down to find new stuff. I think the
Yeah.
last card game on mobile that really kept my interest was the Adventure Time one that was more laid out like a Yu-Gi-Oh clone.
Oh yeah, yeah.
That was a really fun game. Um, but I haven't really. I'm really picky about gaming, especially on mobile. I couldn't even tell you if there was a single game installed on my phone right now. That's kind of just where I am with mobile games. I'm just so reluctant to play them because it's just they always have such a negative connotation.
Yeah.
I guess to say
Like
for lack of
like
better
a cash
terms.
grabby kind of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I've got some, but nothing stuck. And it sucks because some games like I downloaded the Mega Man X game that was mobile,
Mhm.
and it's cool, but it's not great because you're trying to play. You literally kind of play it like Mega Man X, but like on your phone like
Sure.
this, and you can imagine how much this feels bad to
On a
play
Mega
Mega Man
Man
X.
game, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And then there's a bunch of other weird, wonky, like RPG elements ascribed to it, where like you can upgrade things and do this and do that. But it's all like, oh, these gems, you get 10 of these a day, and you need 1,000 to upgrade, and this, that, this, that. Sign in every day,
That's
get your
so
login
bad.
bonus for doing a gotcha campaign where you can get 0, and it's we'll give you 1 free roll, and then you have to pay for the rest of them. And but zeros in there, it's exactly what you'd
It
expect. Yeah.
feels so bad. Like I just can't.
Yep.
I can't get into it, man.
The worst timeline for mobile games.
So I picked up. I decided to actually pull the plastic off a couple Switch games. I
There
think
you
it was
go.
after the show last week
Hmm.
or Monday night. I don't remember. But we played Carrion. I was playing that in the Discord. That
Yep.
is stupid fun. Like, if you are into Metroid games, I highly recommend playing that. Can't stress enough how good it is. You're playing basically as the villain in the game. You're just like a tentacled monster that goes around and you just butcher people alive. It's stupid fun, and I guess gory for lack of better terms, but yeah, it's
Yeah, not like. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I'm trying to think of like it. Like I don't know. In my head, I separate gory like that kind of game versus gory like what is like the Resident Evil or like that other one that's like Resident Evil. What's it called?
I don't know, like
Oh,
Parasite
it was
Eve.
the no. There was a guy who made a spin-off, a new IP off of like the Resident Evil, where like, but like even reality is all messed up and like things can happen, like rooms can change while you're in them.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man, that's gonna bug me now.
It's like a psychological thing, kind of.
I'll Google it while we because it's a big. It was on Xbox and PlayStation, and it's not like a big franchise, but when it was out, it was making big deals.
Sure.
I'll research that.
Yeah, I would definitely check that out. I decided to give. We talked about the culture behind this one, and if you want to talk about it on the stream, I'd love for you to do it. Akiba's Trip. So I decided to
Mhm.
get that was on Amazon for $20. It was like a collector's edition. I was like, fuck it, it'll be nice shelf candy at least. Normally $40, so I was like, I'm not gonna turn that down. Never playing the series, not familiar with the series before. Definitely not my cup of tea. Strange pacing too. It just seems like kind of a slap together game, more or less. Just an excuse, I guess, to show a little skin, and I don't know. The game I think came out with PlayStation 3. It looks like a PS2 game, so not
Yep.
exactly what I would say. They didn't really focus on fidelity, to say the least.
No.
Um, so that's kind of where I'm at with that. And then I actually got the Haven out. I ordered that for the limited run
Mhm.
games. Got the physical copy of that, and that looks like I'm gonna have fun with that. It's definitely more of like a story focused game. I haven't gotten too far into it, maybe not even an hour, but I like what I've seen so far, and I'll definitely keep playing that. And of course,
Of
Final
course.
Fantasy 14. So
The game in question that I was trying to remember, it was made by Shinji Mikami, the guy who does Resident Evil, and
mhm.
it was Evil Within.
Okay. Hmm.
I don't know if you've ever seen the game, but it's like it just tries to mess with horror tropes. But because if I remember correctly, the first Evil Within takes place primarily within a person's mind.
Hmm.
So even the real world isn't the real world. If you walk into a room, it's like a dead end room, and then you turn around, the door is gone, and you're like,
I
oh, and then you
have
turn
seen
around
that.
again,
Okay.
and like
Yes.
there's a hallway now instead of no door, and you're like, oh, okay. Like it's one of those types of. He
Yes.
tried to play on the psychological concepts of like if it was in your head, anything can happen. Gravity could go wrong, and you could slam into the wall and be stuck, or like this, that, and the other could happen.
Hmm.
It's a really cool concept. I'm not a horror game person, but I appreciate what they can do,
Yeah,
and that one in particular is really creative.
that's cool. Yeah, I
And it was
have.
cool to see Shinji Mikami get out of Resident Evil because like there's only so much you can do with Resident Evil when you're on 8 or 9. Like there's
Exactly.
formulas that people expect. It's like being locked into Final Fantasy. Like there's things that you have to do that are expected of the franchise. He can't do whatever he wants anymore.
Hmm. I totally agree. Yeah, you gotta have to branch out, or your franchise goes
Yeah,
stale. You don't want to be another Assassin's Creed, do you?
yeah.
All right, so that's pretty much up for catch up. Social media accounts. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Game Dude Retro and at Retro Game Dude on Twitch and TikTok. Of course, you already know that because you're here. Um, what? You?
I did play something else this week. I played Chrono
Oh,
Trigger 2 times.
you did play Chrono Trigger. You streamed it. I forgot
Hmm.
about that. And what
I
else
played
did you
some
do on
Chrono
your
Trigger.
stream? You put a bunch of effects in there.
I, I died a lot. Yeah, yeah. I put all those like death effects and like the surprise guests and stuff.
Hmm.
It's been so much fun making those.
Yeah,
Good
definitely.
times.
Go check out his stream and go test out the new effects. He's at Phoenix underscore Aurora underscore gaming on Twitch, and support that stream. God damn it, or I'm gonna
Yeah,
piss on your rug.
I'll be playing Chrono Trigger tomorrow because that's just the thing I got to do now.
Yeah, no doubt, no
Oh
doubt.
man, dude, I hit like well, especially because like I hit the point now where it's like I stopped last time playing right before it got like
You,
crazy
yes,
story driven hooks, and now like the hooks are in, and I have to play it tomorrow. Waiting
yeah.
to play it.
You got to I would say a very very important point in the game, and that's what drove me nuts
Oh
because it's
yeah.
like you got to like you got right to the edge of like where shit got wild, and then
Yeah.
you stop playing it, and then your computer broke. I'm like, no.
Yep.
Didn't
Good
feel good,
times.
but
Right.
it was cool to watch, and that's kind of like I've been waiting for that moment, and I was pleased.
Oh,
So,
definitely.
but yeah, that's all we. I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna play anything new this week or not. I don't know if I really have anything planned. I still have a stack of Switch games here. I gotta pull plastic off of, that is for sure. But
Yeah, I still have Bravely Default 2 in the wrapper.
that I'm
It's not
surprised
like I don't
about.
want to play that. Well, it's not like I definitely want to play that, but I know that if I play anything other than like my aforementioned list already, like if I don't finish Chrono Trigger, it's gonna be another game that I never finished. You know what I mean? Like I still
Sure.
haven't finished. What's that? Octopath Traveler. I started that one before Chrono Trigger, and then I never went back after I started playing Chrono Trigger. So I think I should probably finish Chrono Trigger and then Octopath in that order, so that they're off my list.
Sure. Sure. All right. Well, let's move on to the sponsor real quick. We have handheldlegend.com. If you like modding your systems like I do, like I have a Game Boy Color here and a Game Boy Advance, if I could ever figure out how this camera works. Um, I do this on the side, build and modify Game Boys and all that stuff. Kind of bring back old games that have kind of lost their luster and kind of give them like a new groove so that they can, live on through newer generations and stuff like that. So I get that stuff through handheldlegend.com. And if you want to save $10 on your first purchase, head over there. It's handheldlegend.com/retrogamedude. I get a little piece of that, and then you save $10, everyone wins, and it helps support this channel too. So thank you. That's it. All right, so let's move into we have subscriber games for May. So let's take a look here. We have PSN up first. Um, oh, if my slideshow would work, that'd be cool. Why isn't it working? Do I have to do it manually now? Okay. All right. So for PSN, I would say probably not their biggest hit month here. I mean, unless you're a soccer fan, FIFA 22 is there for you. Tribes of Midgard and Curse of the Dead Gods for PlayStation. Obviously, they are gearing up to do their new subscriber service. Excuse me. And I don't think this is going to be their focus, much like Games with Gold is not Xbox's focus anymore. In lieu of Game Pass. So I would expect to see the impressiveness of these games kind of fall off here and take a back seat to PlayStation's new offering coming up soon. So I know you'll be playing that FIFA, right?
No, I was looking at Tribes of Midgard. I think was the game me, you, and Dark were looking at maybe playing.
Really?
Yeah, it's like a top-down looking, kind of like a Valheim game where you build a village like Vikings, except it holds 10 players in like an arena or a lobby,
Hmm.
and you build your village, and then the threats come to you.
Interesting. We'll have to check that out. But
Yeah,
yeah,
because the name sounded familiar. Yeah,
at least go down and excuse me, at
add to
least
library.
yeah, at least add it to your library. Because you never know, you might have a moment of free time. You can go back and play some of these games.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
And then we have Xbox games with gold. We have Yoko's Island Express, The Inner World, Hydro Thunder Hurricane, Viva Pinata Party Animals. That it's not the normal Viva Pinata. This is more like their Mario Party clone offering. So I wouldn't say this
Hmm.
is like a terrible lineup, especially since Games with Gold has been rough for the last year or so.
Yeah.
I would say this is actually probably not a horrible lineup, but again, um, games past their prime for sure. Yeah, I used to have a friend that was like really into Hydro Thunder, like not Hurricane, but just the regular Hydro Thunder on the 360. He was like top scorer on the Xbox Live Arcade for the longest time. It's very strange. Got really
Keep going.
good.
Give me 1 second.
Yeah, go ahead.
I'll be right back.
No problem. So up next we have Game Pass. This is of course Xbox's offering here. We have Loot River, Citizen Sleeper, Trek to Yomi, Eludian Chronicle Rising, Floppy Nights, Hard Space Shipbreaker, which I saw an advertisement for this on TikTok of all places. I just see that it's a sci-fi game, so I'll definitely have to check it out for at least a little bit just to see what it if it's anything good. We have Sniper Elite 5 and we have Pac-Man Museum. And I believe Pac-Man Museum was announced a while ago. That's going to be going to a couple different consoles, I think, as well. So we'll get into the quick headlines here. We'll just keep that there for now, I guess. we have Sega is delisting the standalone versions of Sonic 1, 2, and 3 and CD ahead of Sonic Origins arrival. So if you want to get those original games, because they are a little bit different than what we're going to get in Origins, and if you want to preserve those original titles, do that now. They will probably be a little bit cheaper right now. I would imagine they're probably going to go on a sale on some platforms, so keep an eye out for that. But don't lock those down if you don't have them yet. Also rumored, 2K Games is developing their own Rocket League, but instead of a car, you'll use like a Tron-like bike, which I am definitely going to check out because I am obviously a huge Tron fan. I love the light cycle things. I used to play a game called Armageddon, and that was a kind of like an indie project, a little passion project, and it was pretty much all the light cycle game from the movie. So it was really dope. We had a lot of fun playing that back in the early 2000s. Moving on, we have a Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order sequel, rumored to be set for current gen systems only. So here we're going to see this on the PlayStation 5 and the Xbox X and S and PC. We will not be seeing these, rumoredly. We won't be seeing these on the PS4 or the Xbox One. So, I mean, we're getting to a point now, too, where we're going to have to start moving away from the old generation consoles, and we're going to see a lot more games come out exclusively just on PlayStation 5 and Xbox X and S. So expect to see more of that in the future. It's also noted that Psychonauts 2 is Double Fine's highest rated and best selling game to date, selling at least 1.7 million copies. It's good for them. And the big one, I know you're going to want to talk about this a little bit at least. Following delays, Final Fantasy 16 is near the end of its development.
So, yeah, that's going to be exciting.
What do you think? We're going to get this by Christmas, or do you think it's going to be a spring 2023?
Final Fantasy 16. That's a good question, because I think it was supposed to be this year, but I don't think the pandemic let that happen.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be tight.
What did they... in the final stages of development for the new numbered game in the series? See, that's the problem, though, is like the final stages of development, like a lot of QA and stuff happens in the end, and that can you could breeze right through that without any problems, or it could completely derail the development and have to go back to fix a lot of things or whatever.
Sure.
So, I mean, if I was going, I think the reason they probably didn't give us a date is because they understand that it's probably a thing that can happen. I'm guessing they want it out by Christmas.
Sure. I would assume that's probably what they want.
Yeah.
They're not going to give us any hard dates until they absolutely know they can pull it off.
I think the three outcomes are going to be it's out by Christmas, or it's out by like April, or it's announced to be out by Christmas and then it gets moved into like the April block if something goes wrong.
Sure.
I think we'll probably get an actual date over the summer, and it'll either be Christmas or April, depending on how confident they are in like the process to like clean up the game at the end and everything.
Right. I really think it's going to come down to distribution at this point. At that, so we'll see. All right. So we have, speaking of Square, Balan Wonderworld drama unleashed. We have the Sonic creator Yuji Naka, who obviously was heading the project for the most of the part of Balan Wonderworld, and he came out. He took the Square to court, and he came out. Finally, he's allowed to talk about it, and boy, did he! So, I'll read here what he said. Square Enix is no good if they don't care about games or game fans. The other thing is the court documents say that Oshima talked to producer Fujimoto about what I said about Azrest submitting the game without fixing, even though there were glitches during development, and that my relationship with Azrest was breaking down because of my comments to improve the game. I believe the game is made by striving how to make it a good game until the end and hoping the game fans will enjoy it when they buy it. I think it is strange to remove the director who comments on the game without consultation and not allow him to be involved at all. He does not have enough time. Now, this is coming from like Google Translate from a Twitter tweet, so it's a little broken up here, so bear with me. In my opinion, it is a real shame that we released the unfinished work Balan Wonderworld to the world. I wanted to see I wanted to release it to the world as an action game in a proper form, considering various things. I think Square Enix and Azrest are companies that do not care about games or game fans. So that's some pretty brutal criticism here.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
and I remember this thing coming out, and I think it sold like 2,100 copies in the first week in Japan, which is
Hmm.
abysmal. Um,
Yeah.
and it's a real shame. I remember watching Shane from Rerez. He did like a whole breakdown on how to fix this game, and it could be fixable. And like everything he pointed down could be easily dropped through a patch. But it's just a shame because this looked like it was going to be a passion project of Mr. Yuji Naka here, and
Mhm.
it was just kind of shit on. And then he's everything that hit all of his input was just basically disregarded, and they just kind of threw the game to the wolves. I don't know what they were thinking, um, not applying any kind of QA to this game, obviously. But I mean,
Yeah,
we saw it
it's
in action.
bizarre.
It was just like there was like doubles of powers that didn't make sense. There were the pacing of the game was disjointed to say the least.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
it was just unfortunate.
There was a lot of powers that just felt completely useless or were like gimmicks at best
Sure.
that didn't need to exist at all. Yeah, there was
Hmm.
a lot of weird stuff.
Yeah. So it's a shame. I mean, hopefully we see. I don't know. Maybe Yuji Naka come out with another passion project that he's very passionate about, and we get to see something else. Maybe kind of like a rework of what he wanted to do with this game, but
Right.
it's kind of a shame because I mean we obviously the creator of Sonic the Hedgehog. I mean, this guy's the grandfather of some of the best games franchises that are out there. Nights into Dreams, a great game on the fucking Sega Saturn. So yeah,
Yeah.
kind of a
Well,
shame.
like it's funny with this guy too, because like I'm just looking up a little random thing about him. Yuji Naka quit Sega in 2006,
Hmm.
um, and he announced that he would leave Sega to create his own game studio called Pro. He stated that he considered it a benefit to be able to create games other than Sonic the Hedgehog games, which is literally what we were just talking about with like the guy from Resident Evil being able to like get out of a franchise you're locked into to make new and interesting things.
Hmm.
And it's a shame to watch him get out of that and do other things like the ones you were talking about. And then we end up with Balan Wonderland, and he's like 6 months before it comes out, he's like, it still needs work, and we still have things to improve. And the company's just like, how about we don't do the work and we don't do the improvements, and we just release it in whatever shape it's in, and whatever happens happens. It's like that's so shitty, especially because people
Yeah.
knew he was going to get under like the bus for it or
And it
whatever.
was all his reputation. I mean, we saw it happen. Like his reputation was thrown under the bus.
Mhm.
Square's not wasn't really. And Square is big enough where they can kind of dodge this bullet. But
Yeah, and yeah.
go ahead.
It rings like for me it rings echoes of like Cyberpunk or like Anthem, where
Oh
like the dev
sure,
teams came out later and they were like, this isn't how we wanted it to come out, and they made us put it out like this because they wouldn't let us have time
right.
or let us keep working on it or whatever.
How many times in the last couple of years have we seen this? I mean, Cyberpunk, obviously,
Halo Infinite.
Halo Infinite, yes.
Yeah, 2/3 of the game was cut.
Yeah, Anthem, like he said,
BioWare in general, the last couple BioWare games, they did BioWare
yeah,
Magic and hoped that it would work out. They got
right,
lucky that it worked out with, was it Mass Effect 3 or Dragon Age Inquisitions, where they BioWare Magic it together at the last minute, and it was the last game that succeeded before Anthem failed.
right.
But they said it was like a long running problem with the studio's like culture and everything.
Even Mass Effect Andromeda was kind of a dump. That was
Mm,
that.
that one too,
Yeah,
yeah,
that one
yep.
kind of nosedived.
But we've seen this. I mean, behind how many times we have to make poor Jason Schreier write another article that's like almost the same thing about how the culture of the company was just awful, and they
Yeah,
wouldn't let them do the work because the people at the top were like interjecting or interfering and making it worse. Like,
and it's like for the longest time we saw like the internet, Twitter specifically, go after the throats of the devs, and
hmm
now it's kind of like people a little bit more reserved. Now the issue is like, oh, what was the cult? Obviously, it was probably a shitty culture. There was probably crunch. There was probably a lot of financial missteps,
hmm
poor decision making on the financial ends of things. People rushing for quarterly profits, not looking at the long term effects of releasing a completely unfinished game. And
right.
something like with even CD Projekt Red, I don't know if they've learned their lesson because they still did gangbusters with that game. They still sold a shit
hmm
ton. So have they actually learned their lesson come Witcher 4 or something? Their next game. I don't know.
Right.
It teaches a bad lesson because they still made out with like record profits on Cyberpunk. So.
Right. Right. Yeah. I mean, it's like we've seen a lot of studios making weird choices lately with this kind of stuff.
Mhm.
We saw the Platinum Games was like one of like just like Cyber or CD Project Red was like a darling in the industry. Everybody loved them, And they did the same things they did, where like they were like, hey, you know what? We're gonna shift our direction from what we've been doing, which has clearly worked because like I mean, how many times have me and you've been talking about like the Bayonetta games, Metal Gear Rising, Astral Chain? They put out hit after hit after hit. I don't think Platinum Games really puts out bad games, or at least they haven't for a while.
Right.
And then they were like, we've decided to shift to games as a service, and all of a sudden their next game comes out and it's like a 3 out of 10 because everybody's like, oh, it's monetized and it's garbage.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine being the people who made Bayonetta and Metal Gear Rising and Astral Chain and it's not like they have a huge IP that they're riding on. People were looking like when Astral Chain was getting launched, nobody looked at that game and they were like, "Oh yeah, it's you know the newest Astral Chain, my favorite franchise." Like no one ever heard of that franchise,
Sure.
but they knew Platinum Games was on it, which made them go, "Oh, I'm going to enjoy this. It's going to be Bayonetta style. It's going to be Metal Gear Rising style. I'm going to enjoy this game." And they threw it all away for what? To go games as a service, like.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're just another game. They're another dev company in the bin. When someone's like, "Hey, what game would you buy just off the developer's name alone that you know they're like a good developer who makes a good game?" And now them and CD Projekt Red are both off my list. Like,
yeah,
it sucks.
Yeah, you can't take, and it's hard because like you have like the AAA scale games come out and it's like they're expensive, and you don't want to risk buying a shit game, and that's like,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, it's good that there are some demos out there because stuff like Fallout 76 and Anthem. Like I played those demos, and I played them with you guys, and like, I am sitting this one out until
Fallout 76 was another one where like Fallout was my first Fallout was 4, and by the time I played 4, I did not have interest in the Fallout franchise. And the only reason I bought into that franchise is because everybody on the planet that I talked to was like, "Dude, Fallout's a great series. Fallout 3 is good. New Vegas, like play the Fallout games." And I'm like, "All right, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna buy 4." And I got into 4, and I enjoyed. Like overall, I greatly enjoyed my time in 4. Even though a lot of people said 4 was like the worst, it still was a good enough game that I enjoyed what I was getting into, and was excited to learn about the other Fallout games and play other games. And then like they burned their bridge really bad with a lot of people by doing the way they did 76. And it wasn't just like 76 came out and had problems and then they fixed the problems like some sort of No Man's Sky. It was like no, there were several problems. There was like shady approach to those problems, like they were lying about them or hiding what they were doing. There was problems with like people's information getting stolen when they were trying to like do things on their websites and their forums. There was like they were trying to fix problems, but then they were causing problems by leaking information from that process. Like people were getting screwed on the collector editions with those bags, and then like Fallout First happened, and then they were charging people real money to like have private servers so you could play the RPG as a single player game. Like, oh man, it was like misstep after misstep, and almost every other one was either malicious or like monetarily motivated in a way that ended up being bad for players.
And don't forget they got
like,
taken to court over that fucking bag that they included in the collector's edition.
Well, that was the thing. The bags weren't what they were supposed to be.
They're supposed to be like canvas, and they got like mylar, like shit plastic.
And then they were like, if you got the bags, give us your information, and we will like give you like a partial refund for those bags or whatever. And then all these people gave them their credit card information, and then that got leaked. So all their credit card information got leaked.
I didn't know about that. Oh my god.
Yeah. So they let me just grab a quick refresher on that one. Like it was like all the people who had gotten screwed by the collector's editions gave their customer info to them to like fix the problem, but then they lost that info by leaking it on accident. We're finalizing manufacturing plans for replacement canvas bags for Fallout 76. If you purchase the collector edition, please visit the thing and submit a ticket. And the ticket included like all your personal information, like credit cards and stuff. And then all of that got leaked online. I am receiving other people's support tickets on my Bethesda account. I have numerous people's receipts for Power Armor sets that include their email, their home addresses, and the types of cards that were used. What was happening was everybody was having, if you went to look up your order, it just listed the orders. So like people were able to just view everyone's information from all the people who had the Power Armors. And
Jesus.
Like, holy shit, dude, how do you, and then like every step of the way, their responses were like, "Oh, it sucks, we're sorry, whatever." And it was like, they were just digging the hole, and then they broke the shovel, and then they kept going with the half of a shovel piece that they had. Like, oh, it's insane.
It just works.
But yeah, and that's the worst part is after it's all said and done, you know, what happens? Like, they're like, well, yeah, Fallout 76, pretty much a failure. We added some stuff. They added a battle royale mode. Ooh, great. And then like
out of a game that's not going to feel good. Like that battle royale is not going to feel good in that game.
But then here we are at the end of the day, and guess what happens? They announced Elder Scrolls 6 is coming out in like 5 years, and people were like creaming about it. And it's like, did you not? Did you not? This was their last product. This was like this is what their product plan was. Like the monetization, the Atom Shop, like the lack of quality assurance. Like, why would you continue to go back to this company for this stuff? Like,
Right.
or is Starfield is one of theirs too? Same thing. Todd Howard's like Starfield. Going to be an amazing game, and you're like,
but they announced
where?
A Bethesda Games announcement thing coming up, Microsoft Bethesda Games thing coming up. I think in June near E3 season. Obviously, we're not having an E3 this year, and
Yeah.
I mean, that trailer. If they show a trailer for Starfield, that is going to tell a tale, man.
Yeah.
I have zero confidence that that game is going to be any good. And the fact that this is probably going to be like a day one Xbox Game Pass game, I can tell you that they probably took a bunch of shortcuts and back seats on game quality. And I won't be shocked to see if it comes out in a piecemeal wreck like Halo Infinite did. As far as like Microsoft and their mismanagement of their companies right now, I just have zero faith in anything that they're going to put out.
In particular, I don't like to get like bogged down in like the like picking a side between the three main providers of like the consoles, but like
Right.
the last year or so has been really like the last like 3 years, I guess, between Microsoft being like we don't have any exclusives at all, like here it is, and then like they're like, oh no, we do have a couple, and it's like Halo Infinite, woo, it's 1/3 of a non-finished game released for $60, and then they're like, oh, it's okay, we're gonna have another exclusive in like 2 years. It's gonna be like a game by Bethesda. I'm like, isn't Bethesda a shit company now that is way past their prime and their best games are way behind them?
That's
and they're
every
like,
studio they buy.
But then they're like, well, hang on.
Ooh, that was
we also have Activision, Blizzard King, and people were like, aren't they like an over-the-hill studio who's like, not only is the studio like rife with corruption and in federal or state courts for like a bunch of lawsuits and problems, but like, what have they made in the last 2-3 years that's been any good anyway besides a free Call of Duty game, which was free? Like, and a Diablo 2 remake where you couldn't even use like port connections because they were like, no, we took that away. And it was like, the only thing people wanted.
Right.
But okay. And mobile games. I was like, so what do you, like, you guys are buying up studios that everyone hates and that are like way past their prime. What are you going to do with these? You're going to revamp them? I mean, we know Microsoft is the king of revamping brands, right? They've definitely not bought studios and shut them down after a year because they were doing anything.
Right.
So I was like, I don't know. I get really, when people are like, yeah, Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield, and I'm like, neither of those are exciting for me. I don't understand why you'd be excited about either of those. And then people are like, hey, Diablo 4 and the mobile Diablo is coming to like consoles. And it's like, the mobile Diablo is only coming to consoles because nobody got it on phones and everybody complained about why is it a phone game? And now it's coming to like consoles. Okay, great. That's not a good sign. That's we dragged them kicking and screaming to the correct position. And Diablo 4, I mean, everybody I talked to about Diablo says like Diablo 2 was amazing and 3 was not. That's all I ever hear about that franchise is like to not bother with 3. Sure. I'm always like, should I play 3? And people were like, did you play 2? And I'm like, yeah, 2 was good. And they're like, yeah, well, okay, then yeah, you played. You get Diablo then. And I'm like, okay.
I have 3. It's not hateful. I would say if you want to play it with me sometime, I have it on the Switch. Let me know. I'll play it with you.
Gotcha.
I'll check it out.
I just like all my diehard Diablo friends are like, the magic wasn't there in 3, and not to bother. I'm like, okay. So I don't know. I just between everything that happened at Activision Blizzard King and Activision or not Activision, at Bethesda with their last couple games and releases and all this other shit, I just don't understand why I would be in their corner for any of their stuff going forward. Right. By default. Like it'd be one thing if Elder Scrolls 6 comes out and it's getting good reviews and everybody says it's really good, of course I'd probably give it a shot. But it's no longer the position like it used to be where like Bethesda's making an Elder Scrolls or Bethesda's making a Fallout, you would be like, unless I find out it's not good, I'm interested.
Yeah. I mean, for me, so was it Morrowind was, I mean, I put time into that game, and then Oblivion came out, and like that was like they were already releasing, and I've talked about this before, they were already releasing screenshots of that game in like Game Informer and other gaming magazines, like I would say like a year to 2 years before that game even came out. And these were like well-produced screenshots. This wasn't like working in progress stuff. This was like parts of the game that were already final product. And it looked phenomenal. And holy shit, was it. And now we're looking at it. You look now like they're like Bethesda's norm now is like they hold all their information on these games close to their chest until, right before release. It's like what we have 6 months until this game is supposed to release, and we have yet to see a single production
Yeah,
image
we
of this
have
game.
Star Citizen is literally like well we have like a couple of like almost painted images of
It's
like
concept
landscapes and
art,
stuff, and then they wiggle them like Magic does with their Magic cards
right?
for like their trailers for sets or whatever.
Right.
And then if I remember right, Elder Scrolls 6, all we had for the longest time was just that one
A
camera
trailer,
panning over like landscape. It wasn't even
right?
a trailer. It was just a camera panning over landscape and water and
Right.
said Elder Scrolls 6. And then
They showed it
we just got a
again.
date. Like they showed it again and said that yeah, it's still a thing, and they didn't change anything. And now we just found out. I think like this week we found out that Elder Scrolls 6 is supposedly going to be set in 2025, 2026 window. It's like 3 years away.
Wow.
You didn't see that headline? It's
I did not.
Elder Scrolls 6 will be set in Hammerfell and is targeting a 2025, 2026 release.
How long has it been in development?
Dude, they showed that game in
4 years, 3 years.
pre-pandemic, right? That was
Yeah,
pre-pandemic. They showed us
100%.
that game.
100%.
So yeah.
Yeah, not looking good. And that's the thing. It's like they
Hang on.
keep showing the same trailer over and over again every E3.
Also, fun fact: I'm reading this article just now, and it says that it will be in Hammerfell. There will be a political system. Betrayals, marriage, and factions will play some role in the game. Interestingly enough, the game will not feature any dragons.
Okay.
I don't know if that matters or not. I don't know Elder Scrolls enough to tell you if dragons matter, but
I mean, they had one in Oblivion, and Skyrim was very focused in dragons, but
yeah,
beyond that, I mean, I don't see why they would continue to have dragons in an area that dragons don't live. So it makes sense.
right. It's just interesting that like they waited all this time to tell. Like it's been almost 3 years. We've been seeing bits and pieces of like Elder Scrolls 6. Like well, I mean that one same picture of it being like it's coming, and now we find out it's at least 3 years away.
Way out.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the problem is that a lot of game companies have a problem, and I've seen it across the board, announcing games way too early.
Yeah, absolutely. That's one thing I love. I love what they did with Final Fantasy VII Remake. Personally, I think it's cool that it's an expansion on the story. But they announced that game several years before it was done, and there was a long period of time where people were just like, every event that came around was like, "Are we going to see 7 Remake? Are we going to see 7 Remake? Are they going to show 7 Remake?" And then like one event they would show it. They'd be like, "Yeah, we have some gameplay," and they'd show some gameplay. And then like the next 3 events would be like Tokyo Game Show and the Game Awards, and people were like, "Are we gonna get more? Are we gonna get more?" And then they would be like, "Well, no, we're not gonna. It's not for like another year or whatever."
Right.
And it kind of sucked because it turned like the discourse into like, either we're hyped because they're gonna talk about 7 Remake or they're not gonna talk about it. And then there's like the letdown expectation of like, well, they didn't talk about 7 Remake, and it's like you'd have these companies putting out good showcases where like I mean last year I think Square Enix did a whole showcase with a whole bunch of good games on it, the Pixel remasters, Guardians of the Galaxy, and a few other things. Dragon Quest 11 or 12 got announced, Monster Hunter stuff got announced, and then people at the end of the show were like, I didn't see 7 Remake Part 2, and you're like, okay, and they're like, I didn't see 16, and you're like, they're making a lot of shit right now. Like I don't know what to tell you. They already have other stuff on the table. Like they were making, and they had Endwalker too. Remember, Endwalker got its own event, its entire own event. And then people were like mad they didn't see Endwalker at the Square Enix showcase, and it was like they just had an event for this like a month ago.
Well, that was the thing with like E3.
What do you
like
want to say?
They only announced like a couple games at E3, and it's like they're on fucking tour right now. They just announced they just had a whole week dedicated to Endwalker.
And
E3 was a piss stop, and then they had like Tokyo Game Show. Then they had their own big showcase.
Well, not just that, but also if you remember, Capcom had their own showcase where they showed Monster Hunter and Dragon Quest content, which would have eaten Square Enix content because it would have been theirs. And somebody else did too. Someone else got Square Enix content separated. Like 3 companies had Square Enix
Nintendo
content,
had a shit ton of Square Enix
on their
stuff.
own stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Nintendo had a bunch of their stuff too.
They had like 5 or 6 titles of like Square stuff alone that Square just didn't announce because Nintendo did.
Yeah, dude. Like it was like if Square Enix really wanted to play that way, they could have literally been like they could have been the big show of the year by being like FF16, Endwalker, Dragon Quest 12 announcement, Monster Hunter DLC announcement, Monster Hunter Stories. All the remasters, this, that. Oh, Strangers of Paradise was an announcement last year too. That was a thing. They could have just been like Guardians of the Galaxy. They could have hoarded all that shit and been like, everything's ours. E3 is over.
Would have been a
But they
45
didn't. They let
minute
other
goddamn
publishers and stuff
presentation.
have it.
Right.
Yeah, they were like, no, we let other people have stuff, and then people were mad about it. It was like, what do you care though if the games are coming out? Imagine like we get like an awesome return to like Ninja Gaiden, but it's not like the team who's making Ninja Gaiden doesn't like tell us about it. It gets told to us by like PlayStation, and you're like, oh boo, I wanted to hear about it from the people who are making it. And it's like, but they would have given me the same footage, the same trailer.
Yeah, it doesn't make any difference. And let's not forget, even go back on like Microsoft. Everyone was freaking the fuck out on E3 because they announced so much stuff, but it's like you had to remember that Sony didn't have a thing. They have a booth at E3, but they didn't have like a big announcement thing. So Microsoft got basically the right to announce all the big titles. None of it was exclusive, save for a handful of titles. Yeah. So it was, oh man, Xbox is going to be fucking lit, and it's like none of this stuff was exclusive, and even the stuff that they claim is exclusive is coming out on Steam. So
it's Steam or whatever,
or PC Game Pass. So it's like, how exclusive is that?
It's ridiculous to watch them try and be like, why should I buy an Xbox? And they're like, look at these games, and it's like, I can play those games on my computer. And they're like, well, look at these games, and it's like, I can play those games on my PlayStation. And they're like, what about Game Pass? And it's like, yeah, but 90% of Game Pass is games I don't care about. It's games that are old. It's games that have already been out for a while.
Yeah,
and then when they do put new games on it, like sometimes they put a game on day one on Game Pass, and cool, good for them. But like, I don't know, I'd have to buy a $300 and $400 console that's not easy to find right now, so I could get Game Pass, or I could just do it on my computer. At that point, why is there an Xbox?
I have Game Pass, and I still don't rush to play these games that are either exclusive or like day one exclusives. But
at that point, like just put it on PC. Stop making Xboxes at a loss, and then trying to get people to buy those Xboxes at a loss, just so you can be like Game Pass.
I think that's honestly their ultimate idea is to eliminate the hardware end of their company.
Yeah, I think so. I think they shouldn't have made an Xbox this generation. I think they should have gone in on Game Pass on PC harder.
And I've said it 100 times.
Do that.
And I'll say it again, and I've been saying it since the Xbox came out, is that this Xbox was just a giant experiment to get console games to come to PC, because before this, it just wouldn't have happened. And I remember there being game studios that produced games for consoles that were held a lot of animosity towards PC gamers and vice versa. So I think that Microsoft designed the Xbox as a bridge to really bring console games to PC. With the obviously Steam helped too, but I really think that Xbox itself was a keystone in bringing a lot of console games to PC, because it's like, oh, they're developing for the Xbox, might as well develop it for the PC too, and that's what we saw happen. So I don't know.
Yeah, and what's funny too is as that reminds me of a conversation we had with Dark about the situation about like companies losing money on like their consoles, because remember he had that person that said Xbox isn't sold at a loss, and it was like Xbox has been sold at a loss since like the Xbox. Like, it's just how they've always done it.
Really, only Nintendo that sells hardware at not a loss. But
well, you know what's funny? I didn't know this until I just looked it up now. PlayStation 4 stopped selling at a loss only 6 months into its life cycle.
Wow.
They must have been able to make that one on the cheap or something, because it says that the PS4 was able to. It says PS3 took years to stop losing money on, and the PS5 just stopped losing money. What, 2 years after it came out? 3 years?
PS4.
Yeah, a couple years in, or PS5. PS5 right now is like 2 or 3 years old. 2?
It's going on its second.
It's on its second.
Second full
year. PS5 just flipped over into not being a loss to produce anymore, and the PS4 did it in 6 months. The Xbox is still sold at a loss today, and the Xbox 360 and the One were both sold at a loss the entire time.
And they're paying for chip priority right now, so it's costing them more to produce these so that they can get the things in the store. So that they're basically paying extra money to get extra time or extra manufacturing time to produce more consoles. So they're taking a higher loss on that too. It just doesn't make sense at this point.
So it's like, you've got the Nintendo crew pretty much always producing the consoles at a very low loss or no loss.
Pretty much a no loss,
PlayStation, who did produce at a loss on the PS3, but let's be honest, the PS3 out the box had a lot of weird design choices, hardware choices that they rectified later in the life cycle, and then with the PS4. But then the PS3 eventually turned into making profit on the consoles. The PS4 was starting to make profit on the consoles only 6 months in, And now the PS5 is making profit on consoles within, like, let's say, I don't know, 18 months, we'll just
That's
guess, somewhere
wild.
between a year and 2 years. But meanwhile, Xbox, who's been making their newest system for 3 years, the previous system for 7 years, and then the previous system to that for like 7 years. Like they've been making since the original Xbox, they've never made hardware profit. It's always been loss.
Mm-hmm.
And that's like, how is that even a thing? How can you guys be operating at a loss for 20 years and then justify making a new generation of consoles? It's
Right.
literally like it's literally just Microsoft, right? Like they have money coming in from the parent
Well, they can
company.
afford. Yeah,
There's
that's
no
the
way.
parent company
There's no
thing.
way
They
they
can
could
afford to
afford
do
to
it.
like. There's no way they could be like, we're going to sell at a loss for the entire 20 years of our dev cycle of all of our hardware ever, and try to, and justify making that up in the long. I like it's like you said. We've talked before about things like Amazon, or we've talked about things like Amazon was a good one where they bought diapers.com and they were able to just eat loss for a year, or for, well, not years. I think it was like a year and a half. They were able to eat loss for a long period of time to drive that website out of business and then purchase it and then roll it into their company
Sure.
and then continue to make money after that because they had so much money accrued that they could afford to eat some in the short term to end up winning the fight in the long term.
Mm-hmm.
We see it with like Walmart and Target, not Walmart. Yeah, Walmart right now. All of their video games that come out brand new, with a few exceptions, are $50 on the shelf. You can get them for $10 cheaper than a regular retail store, and they know that they're eating a loss on that. They're eating $3 or $4 loss every game they sell when they do that, but they don't care because they're making money on milk, they're making money on soda and candy and groceries and toiletries and all that shit. So they know if you come to Walmart to buy a cheaper game, you're buying three more things on your way out. You're gonna hit up frozen pizza. You're gonna hit up fried chicken and fries. You're gonna hit up the clothing section or buy a pair of shoes because fuck it, I had to do this at Walmart anyway.
Right.
So they were able to take the loss, and you know they could kill a bunch of little mom and pop game stores around town because they can cut them under by $10, and you literally can't do that if you're running a mom and pop store and you sell that game for $55. You're making $2. You
Mm-hmm.
can't go lower than that. Um, and that's, I think, what the same thing with Microsoft here. They can afford to make their hardware at a loss and just be like, it's never going to matter to us. We can make this at a loss for infinity. And
Right.
eventually, if we ever somehow force PlayStation or Nintendo out of the market somehow, we would still be able to make our stuff at a loss and then just eventually start, turning it around after.
Sure.
I guarantee if PlayStation folded and didn't make hardware next generation somehow, which obviously is not going to happen, but
Right.
if they did, I guarantee the next, like, once PlayStation was out of the picture, Xboxes would go up to like $600-700 because what are you going to do?
Of course. Yeah. Well, you have nowhere else to go.
You don't have a comparable thing anymore. You have the Switch, which doesn't fill the same role as like an Xbox or a PlayStation traditionally,
Mm-hmm.
or you have PC. So they would look at their price and be like, well, a good laptop is $1,000. Let's move halfway between that and our current price, and that's where it would sit.
Right.
And it'd be wild. Oh man.
Yeah. It's funny
Yeah, man.
watching Amazon do that to companies like Walmart, where Walmart's business model relied on shutting down mom and pop stores locally and stuff, and then you have people coming out of the woodwork that are like, save Walmarts because they're the mom and pops now. It's like, y'all wanted these Walmarts so bad, and they fucked up our economy so bad. I don't feel sorry for Walmart to eating shit, to
No,
be honest.
not at all.
As much as I dislike Amazon, but I don't feel bad for that company whatsoever. It's like,
No, and that's the thing too, is like they have the situation now where like, like every town has like 2 or 3 Walmarts now, to the point where like, a lot of people have to work at a Walmart because it's the only place that's applying that you can apply to, or that's hiring or whatever.
of
And then
course.
like they pay so low because they can afford to pay so low, and then all of a sudden it's like you work at a Walmart and you have no option but to get on like food stamps or some kind of like financial support, and then they turn around and write that off because they can do that too.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, Jesus Christ, guys! Like, you got people out here working like slave wages for places like Walmart,
Right.
so that they can sell their stuff at like the cheapest prices on the planet, so they can kill all the other jobs out. What's gonna happen? We're all gonna end up working at Walmart. Like, what's the
Yeah,
deal here?
they shut down mom and pop stores, and then they shut down basically the ability for anyone to be like an entrepreneurial business, and it's like it's basically just a giant parasitic company. It's crazy, but getting way
I
off
just love
topic.
watching. I love watching this happen because it's such a fun, like, the free market will fix it, guys, and then the free market is like Walmart.
Yeah.
Like,
Have we
outpowering
tried
everybody
throwing
because they have
more
capital.
capitalism? It's like, oh, the
Yeah, yeah,
capitalism's
like-
making capitalism worse. Have we tried throwing more capitalism at it?
It never fails to cease to amaze me to watch people be like, well, if you don't like Walmart, start up your own business. And it's like, if I start my own business in 3 weeks, Walmart's going to undercut every price that I have in my store, and then I'm going to have to close, and then they're going to buy my building and turn it into like a Walmart drop shop station or some stupid shit.
So not only am I worse off than when I started because now I'm bankrupt and I owe banks all over town money.
Yeah, I owe banks money for the capital.
Now I have to go make $6 an hour at Walmart to pay it back and
Yeah,
never pay it
to pay
back.
back the debt. I took out so I could compete with Walmart. Great.
Right.
And it's just because it's literally just the accumulation of wealth is the problem. Because if they didn't have the money to eat the loss like that, they couldn't. If
Right.
they had to turn profits or whatever, or if they had to operate only off of like the profit every year, they wouldn't be able to like Amazon and Microsoft have these huge coffers of like billions of trillions of dollars where they can just sit there and be like, fuck it, sell this at a loss for the next 2 years.
Right.
Whoever produces that product cannot compete with us, and we will drive them under. And they've literally done that, you
Yeah,
know.
they've done that with a lot of stuff. Amazon's algorithm is set to track like the most popular selling thing. They immediately turn around and buy. They make an Amazon Basics version of it and put the other
Yep.
people out of business. It's
Oh, they were
insane.
saying people like because on Amazon you can sell kind of like on Etsy, like your own little shops or whatever, and they'll see if like something goes viral or takes off. They'll just be like, okay, well we can do that too, and they'll
Yep.
just do it in house. Yeah, it's insane. It's almost like free marketing for their like free research for them, right? Like the ability to like scope out what's selling well based
Right.
on what's their shop is doing well on. Yeah, it's insane. But I mean, you know, God forbid we regulate it. It'd be better to just let them have even more money because who knows? I mean, they'll do the right thing,
Right.
right?
Yeah. Let's throw more capitalism. That's got to be the answer.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like we went a little sideways off Balan Wonderland, but I think like the
We
core
sure.
principle, I'll circle it back and say that the core principle applies that big companies with higher ups who don't understand the business or have the passion for the projects ruin everything
That's a
for the smaller people
perfect
who like their stuff.
perfect segue into the next story.
Absolutely.
um, Ubisoft being looked at by so it's a couple different private equity firms here. We have KKR and Company, and it was Blackstone Inc. Both coming in, and basically it's I don't know if this is a preliminary purchase. Now sometimes these companies come in just to make sure all the their company, this company's financials are kind of all their ducks are in a row, or they're coming in to buy them. So we know Ubisoft has been in bad shape for quite some time. Their stock back in July of 2018 was at $110. It is currently at 41, so it has lost more than half
Yeah.
of its value. So obviously the current strategy is not going well. We see them working on stuff like NFTs. This isn't out of genuine business interest. This is out of desperation. And
Yeah.
nothing has like we've seen 1,000 times on this show. Nothing good has ever come from NFTs. So that courts thing that they had with that one game, they decided to shut that game down. There's like, oh, thanks for being part of the experiment. It's like, wait a minute, what happened to the ownership?
Yep.
Gone.
Yeah, absolutely.
So not to get on an NFT tear because I can rant about that for a good hour and a half. But yeah, so it looks like Ubisoft, French company, is probably looking down the barrel of being sold. Of course, we've seen plenty of studios being bought and sold this year. So we're not really sure. Obviously, this is very, very, very early in the game, but I mean, I'm saying, we're probably looking down the barrel of a probably an acquisition. I don't know if the holdings company here, or what should I say? Excuse me, private equity firm, if they're going to buy it out or if it's just going to go to another company. I could see something like Epic picking up Ubisoft, just because they love NFTs. So it's like peas in a pod there, but I don't know. I wouldn't be shocked to see like EA pick them up. But that would be another pair from hell. But yeah, I don't know. So
Yeah, I'm reading an article right now about upcoming projects at Ubisoft,
mhm.
and supposedly they've got like 20 games in the works that they're going to have a showcase sometime soon. And when we hear about that showcase, I'm sure we'll report on it.
It's Just
But
Dance. The next 20
it's
iterations of Just Dance.
well, no, like I'm actually looking through, and it's kind of depressing because it's like, okay, you've got Skull and Bones, which I don't know anything about, and I'm not
uh,
interested in. It's some pirates game.
right.
Avatar: Frontiers of Pandora, which is a movie tie-in video game, which we know how those go, so I'm not going to bother. The Division Heartland, which if I remember correctly, Division 2 didn't generate any waves, but okay.
I went out and
Assassin's
bought it
Creed
because I thought
Rift.
y'all were buying it. And
Yeah, well, I did buy it. I just never played it, which was awkward.
ah,
Um, Immortals Phoenix Rising sequel. Okay. Assassin's Creed Rift, not a full-fledged Assassin's Creed title.
hmm.
Okay. Assassin's Creed Infinity. Infinity is the best subtitle to add on to your games. Let me tell you right now,
Oh,
we're in the best Infinity times right now.
it's that
Axie
phase where
Infinity,
everything
Halo
was
Infinity.
something rising. Now it's everything something infinity.
Dude, Axie Infinity was doing great until their whole thing burned.
Yeah.
And Halo Infinite was doing great until 2/3 of it got removed, and then also the multiplayer got removed, and then also Forge got removed, and then also like the Soul
Co-op
got
never
removed.
existed.
Yeah, yeah. X Defiant, which I've never heard of and does not look interesting.
Yeah.
Prince of Persia: Sands of Time remake, because
Hmm.
remakes always sell gangbusters.
Right.
Prince of Persia unknown title. The game was described as taking inspiration from Ori. All right, you know what? I'll believe it when I see it, and if it is good, I'll give them props for that. But I mean, I won't argue with them trying a Metroidvania as long as it actually comes out good.
Sure.
Metroid Rabbids Sparks of Hope, which to be fair, I hear that the Metroid Rabbids games are actually pretty fun and do well, but they don't sell like gangbusters. They're just actually good games that aren't very popular, I guess. Beyond Good and Evil 2, that sounds like something that was supposed to be a big deal that we haven't heard about in a while.
Yeah.
And then Splinter Cell remake again. The remake clause, cool.
Mm.
Division Mobile. Ooh, if there was ever a Division game I wanted to play, it was Division Mobile.
Yeah, you protect mobile on that's god, all the
Oh my
wrong.
god, they're going hard on it. Division 2 Warlords of New York, Division Heartland, a mobile game, Division 2 new content, unnamed, the Division Mobile, the Division novel, and then a Division Netflix film. It's got all the makings of being like a failure on multiple fronts.
No, I what was it?
Oh
Was it
man.
the guy from The Office in that one movie? Or that one show, Jack something. Man, I'm terrible at knowing things about TV. But I think that's a Tom Clancy show. So
Yeah.
I mean I would say his books probably translate better as shows than they would games.
Yeah, yeah.
But I mean that may have a chance. I don't know. But it's another one of these things. It's like, hey, not every game needs to be a show, and
Well,
not.
it's yeah. The killer for me is that they're making it. It's called Tom Clancy's The Division Universe, and it's got like a bunch of things on it. And it's like, yo, you guys are like 8 years late for this. Like, if you had
Yes,
done this at the launch of Division and made it like a big thing like Destiny did, sure. But like,
back on the 360.
why now? Like,
Right.
why now? Like, what do you mean? You think this is the resurgence people want? Is the Division universe, and then the bring back of Prince of Persia, and Beyond Good and Evil 2, I guess. That if I'm not mistaken, Beyond Good and Evil 2 we've been talking about for like 5 years now.
I think so. Sounds
Because
about
they
right.
announced it years ago, and it's supposed to be like a holy shit moment, and then it just never did anything, and it's still not out yet.
Right, right.
Oh, here we go. The title has suffered from many problems these past couple of years, with some comments to me from developers in 2021 suggesting the game could be canned. Despite these comments, it appears Beyond Good and Evil 2 now lies in the Ubisoft category of "we spent too much and we can't give up now."
Good shit.
Cool.
Good
So
shit.
it's yeah, that's a great attitude for your game. We spend too much and we can't stop now.
Oh my god.
Holy shit.
I don't even know at this point. So yeah, I always love like the reception of Ubisoft on Twitter is always like, will someone buy Ubisoft and put them out of their misery? That seems to be the going take.
Free to a good home. I just saw your back page thing.
Nice.
Free to a good home. Holy shit. No, seriously though.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's at the way they're going, they're gonna get picked up by like Microsoft, and Microsoft's gonna be like, it's fine, and they're gonna cancel every project on there except like the Prince of Persia remake, and they'll be and they'll keep the Assassin's Creed Infinity and
Right.
be like, Microsoft, the best place to play Infinity games.
do
Oh man,
you think Microsoft has the balls to pick up Ubisoft at this point?
I don't know, man.
I don't think
They
I don't think they'll pick them up.
I think they're just throwing money at whatever they think will help them at this point.
Right.
And
Like,
and I think you know what it is. There's probably a dude in the office who's been there for like 30 years, and they're like, "Hey Jerry, like who should we buy next to help save our company?" And he's like hasn't played video games for the last 15 years, so he's like, "I really liked Fallout 3. Who did Fallout 3?" And they're like, "Oh, that's Bethesda. They're kind of cheap right now for some reason."
yeah.
And like, yeah, buy them. If they're cheap, buy them because their games are on fire right now. And they're like, "You sure?" They just had all the shit with Fallout 76. They just leaked people's information. They couldn't deliver bags. And he's like, yeah, no, that's a good buy.
It'll work.
And then they're like, okay, well, who else should we buy? And he thinks again, and he's like, Candy Crush is really popular, right? Who owns them? And they're like, oh, Activision Blizzard King. And he's like, yeah, they do Diablo 2. They do Candy Crush. Like, Call of Duty Big Red 1. Those are all killer games. And they're like, okay, yeah, buy them, I guess. And fucking, are you sure? Like, they killed a woman. No, yeah. I didn't hear about that yet. That's fine. They're literally in court in California. It'll be fine. Just
Yeah,
pay that out.
they just got hit with another NLB or whatever the hell it is, like a labor board violation.
Labor board, yeah, yep. It's like not even worth reporting on anymore. It's like
that's the thing. It's like I could make this whole podcast about fucking Activision and then all the dumb shit that you do every week, and I can't focus the show on that. No one wants to watch that.
You could bring up the spinning wheel that you use on Jackbox night and just like have it all plugged in with like crimes, and then spin the wheel and be like, this week at Activision they they stole wages.
Amazing. Yeah.
The labor theft, the like wage theft.
And
then we could just Google it
every time.
We would Google it and find an article that's like, yeah, that happened this week.
It sure did. Yep, absolutely.
Oh my god.
Fuck. Gotta love it. Oh man. So yeah, keep an eye out. And of course, we'll be hawking this because this will be big news once they get sold. Hopefully for better than worse. I just, with the way things are nowadays in the gaming industry, I hopefully at some point most of the gaming industry just kind of swallows itself whole, opening its way for like new industries, new companies, and new indie titles, and to get through and just watch some old franchises that are long overdue die. So
absolutely.
So next big story of the week. Artesian Builds files bankruptcy with an estimated $1.3 million in unfinished orders. So I broke down the timeline in our show notes. We know Artesian Builds from the infamous show that they were doing where they were, I guess they had like a contest and they were pulling names for their, what's that? What would that be? It's like their people that kind of like shill for them, I guess, for the lack of better terms. They have like their own little advertising program, and they didn't really have any stipulations as to who would win what contest. And a streamer won. She wasn't exactly, I would say, Markiplier, but she had like I think like 2,500 followers, which I would fucking kill for 2,500 followers, to be honest.
Sure, yeah.
But he just basically sat there and disparaged her, and he was like, oh, no one's ever clicked on the link. That was another thing too. They have like a Twitch thing, like a Twitch panel that you could click, and they measure click-throughs through that, and she got like 0 click-throughs. So he's just like, well, next, and he's like, well, that's a re-roll, and basically disparaged her on stream or on air or whatever format that they were streaming on. And it was just really shitty, and of course he was met with a really bad backlash, and justly so. And at that point, I guess operations kind of ceased and things got quiet. Then he issued a bunch of like lazy sorries and just the same old like, we're sorry we got caught. It's just one of those. And I guess like Gamers Nexus was trying to do an interview and a story on this, and a couple employees reached out to him. The company's bank accounts were frozen. They were denying refunds, and then they laid off a bunch of employees. So that was cool. But I have a clip here of Pay Money Wubby. If you know him, you know him. Interviewing an employee. This wasn't the part where he was interviewing an employee, but kind of giving you a breakdown of the timeline of what they were doing here. Let's watch this clip real quick.
A better story. When a company suspends operations, it is possible to resume operations if it receives financial assistance sufficient to cover debts, as the legal paperwork for anything like this does take time. Then in italics, it says this statement in no way is reflective of the thoughts or opinions of any employee. It is simply part of the proceedings. And then it says, this email contains privileged and confidential information and is for the recipient alone. To which I replied, that's not how that works. You don't tell me the confidential things without first asking me if I agree to hold that information.
Hey, this stays between us. What does? The thing I said earlier.
I've already said this is all on record. It's in the email like above this one. It's like, consider all of this publishable and on record. And so obviously my reply was, that's not how it works.
Ooh, I want to read this. I previously told you this entire conversation would be on record for publication. I did not agree to an NDA or confidentiality, and you can't just send someone a one-sided agreement that they're now beholden to. It does, in fact, have to be agreed upon by both sides. He said, no, I reject your request for confidentiality on grounds that we already made it clear this is for publication. Such a big L2. Know what the Hail Mary, right? Like, maybe this will work. And the fact that it doesn't work, now that gets shown too. I feel like there is a lot of maturing that needs to happen if you think it works this way, and I'm baffled by the progression.
Yeah, it's
of
wild.
My
Man said baffled.
in an email.
At this point, I don't
okay.
think there will be an
And
interview.
you know what's funny,
happening
too?
Because
I went hopped up and looked at their Twitter
Uh,
just to go see like what's going on over here. And so like at the end of February they were posting like, it's weird as shit too, because like I'm scrolling through the timeline. So going backward, right from the top down,
Mhm.
March 8th, they have a tweet that says, "We are sad to announce that effective now, we are freezing/suspending all activities. Ongoing is analysis by outside counsel for your organization to ensure fair treatment of clients, creditors, and employees. We expect more info by the month's end. We are open to assistance/investment." Yes, because let me tell you, as an investor, this is
Your
my
money
favorite
is
company to invest in.
absolutely safe
It's
right
one
now.
that's this is the safe bet. It's the company that's like collapsing.
Freezing in the middle of having frozen assets, and then
Yeah, definitely put your money into them.
an employee went on, reached out to Pay Money Lobby 2 in the same stream, and basically said in the live stream that the layoffs were announced through a Slack message. And
Oh my God, really?
It wasn't even like a layoff announcement. It was basically, he said, like, you guys just aren't going to be paid from here forward. And at the very bottom it said something about layoffs. It was just like way shitty.
Dude, it wasn't even like through like an actual channel. Like we didn't get emails. He just went to like our group Discord server and he went to general chat and was like, "I can't pay anyone this month." And he didn't even at anyone. He was just like, maybe people won't read it. That's insane.
Oh yeah, hoping that people will show up to work not reading it, and then assuming that the word's not going to get around.
God.
Like,
dude, you didn't know? You're not getting paid for today.
Well, today's my fucking day off then.
And then before that, 3 days before that, they have 3 days prior, they had a tweet that said, "At this point, we are examining a potential employee-led buyout of the company. Thank you for your support." Which obviously didn't work because that was 3 days before.
I can almost guarantee that message went up before it consulted with a single employee.
Oh yeah, and then a week before
that's a safe face message there.
Yeah, and then a week before that is the "We're live with our 4th monthly Artesian Builds giveaway, sponsored by Intel and whoever." And underneath that, the comments
Intel
are
actually
just lit.
was they actually sponsoring him at that point? I'd love to see the paperwork on that.
Dude, all I can tell you is the quote tweets and the comments are hilarious. It's literally just people like gifs that says like, "It takes a lot of effort to put together a train wreck like this." Like, I missed this one. How did it go? No reply. Oh my God.
Oh,
like
shit.
The comments are absolutely tearing them apart. It's really funny.
I love it.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
And
And
they're
then like,
being accused of everything from like tax evasion up there, getting torn up and down the street at this point.
But you know what's wild though is in between these in between their tweets where they like advertise for themselves and say we're doing a giveaway or look at what we're building, or they share like another company that also does builds or something like that. They're doing like they've got retweets of like who's this one right here? They retweeted Pokimane giving a car away. She's like, "Car giveaway, you can win a brand new Tesla. Retweet plus follow and comment #PokeCar, #sweepstakes." They retweeted that, which means they entered into
a contest as a company?
on the company brand. Like, instead of like his personal, he just went on the company brand and was like, "Retweet Pokemon, I want to win a car."
Oh God.
Like, why? I don't know.
Were they trying to put they trying to put like across like maybe like a false narrative that they were collaborating or something with her?
I don't know. To me, it is really goofy that they would do that.
God, that's embarrassing.
Like, holy shit! Either that, or it was like one of those like, "Oops, I didn't sign out of the company account,
Right?
And I could really use that car."
Yeah.
Oh, holy shit! Man, actually, the more I scroll through, there's no other posts like that. I almost think it was just a screw up.
Probably.
It's the only one like it on here. Everything else is like company on brand tweets or whatever. I think they just screwed up and forgot to log out. But oh man, you know a company's a good investment when they're retweeting Pokemon for a free car and their assets are frozen.
Wow. Yeah, I could really use that Tesla right now so I could sell it for fucking grocery money.
I mean, are you kidding? I'm about to take my saved up college money and just flip it into investing in Artesian builds. They seem like a safe bet.
Well, boy, do I have some Bored Apes for you.
Oh my God.
Oh man.
Even the yacht club's half empty now, I heard. Oops.
Yeah.
All the apes went out into the sea, I guess.
Oh no.
Man.
Oh no. Anyway.
Yeah. Oh no. Anyway. Oh boy. I googled it while you were talking. I was like, I wonder what they're saying on Twitter right now. And of course, their Twitter's a hot mess.
Oh, I'm sure it is. God damn. Um, yeah. So I don't know if is there anything left to this story at this point. I don't know. The company is probably dead in the water. That's a safe bet. If they're talking about an employee buyout of the company, which I don't foresee happening. I expect this company to go bankrupt and whatever remaining PCs to be just probably auctioned off to pay back debts. And it's a shame because a lot of those PCs, like Asmongold didn't get one. He ordered one from them. Um,
Yeah.
he did get his. I think Pay Money Wubby had one ordered. It was like a Black Lotus because Pay Money Wubby is a big Magic the Gathering guy. He had like a Black Lotus PC. It was like a full fucking big chunker Black Lotus, and he didn't get it. And he was like, "Oh, I'm gonna fucking buy it through the auction. I'll get it one of these days." But yeah, it's these they're
When they sell all their assets.
basically when they're gonna be liquidated here and further.
Oh wait, hang on. I have an update on this story. Live
Oh,
update.
yes.
Breaking news. Looks like Microsoft has just moved to purchase this company as well.
Nice. Oh, that's great. So
They sure know how to pick their winners.
they sure do. Let me see if we can bring him up. We've got time. Oh man. Were you just on their regular Twitter page here?
No, you can look up on the Twitter page. I was joking about Microsoft buying them, but
Oh,
holy
of
shit, that'd be
course.
funny.
No, I know.
Yeah. No, dude, their Twitter. Go to their Twitter and just go look at their most recent giveaway, like February 28th. I think they did a giveaway. That one. We're live now for our 4th monthly giveaway, and like the comments under that are incredible because it must have been like right when they got busted or were getting in trouble for that whole thing.
This didn't age well.
Nope, like milk.
I don't know if Intel Gaming would want to put their name on sponsor. Yeah, I have a hard time at this point thinking that Intel was still sponsoring this, or it was just not big enough, and they could fly under the radar.
Yeah, keep looking at that. I'll do
already
a quick search to
contractually
see.
obligated.
Yeah, you keep looking at that. I'll see if I can dig up anything about that.
POV, you ask for more than a stinky commission link deal. What's this say? Feel that this is something we can work out. I'm interested in having a conversation. Let me know your thoughts. Thanks. Thank you for getting back to us, friend. Considering the size of your streams about being 1/10 the size of our minimum sponsorships, we are simply far too apart to consider providing you a $2,000 PC. Dude, it's so shitty. Yeah, this is a textbook 101 on how not to run a business. I was actually by a system mishappened. My $3,000 was spent on a competitor. Oh well, meh. Bet.
Here, if you want to look into it, if you go look at the Intel Gaming Twitter page, I've maybe not looked directly at their Twitter because you might have to scroll a little bit. Let me see if I can send you a straight up link to it. Hang on.
Sure.
They did issue a statement of a sort on it. Let me see. Copy link. I'll throw it right to you so you can bring it up. It's a bit of a clusterfuck of a link, but I mean, it gets you there.
Oh boy.
Don't you love like those Twitter links where it's like reply/thread/ like?
Is that a referral link? Oh, it's got a Reddit link. Yeah, there's like a Reddit embed.
Yeah,
link.
it's a Reddit embed into like a Twitter. Like,
let's pull this up here. All right. Thank you to the community for reaching out to us. Intel Gaming values inclusivity for all content creators, and we aim to support the gaming community as a whole. We will continue to make partnership decisions based on what allows us to reach all communities through our products. We strive towards welcoming streamers of all sizes to our programs and do not agree with recent negative comments directed towards small streamers. We are reaching out to the relevant parties to address the situation. Ooh, boy. So yeah, obviously this was probably small potatoes on Intel's end, and this kind of just probably flew under the radar.
This is just one of those, we happen to make a brand association and we have to cut the tie.
Yeah, so no surprise there. But yeah, that's always fun to go on the Twitter sphere and check out what they're saying. Oh boy. So yeah, I guess that's really it for big stories of the week here. Let's move on to upcoming game releases for May. So we have Sifu Vengeance Edition coming to the PlayStation 5 and 4. I believe this one is comes with different difficulty settings, so you can actually kind of play it on an easier mode, I guess. Because this is, from what I hear, is a pretty tough game. I haven't played it myself, but we have Dungeon Defenders Awakened. That's coming to the PlayStation 4. Loot River. That is coming to Xbox Series X and S, Xbox One, and PC May 3rd. Overcooked All You Can Eat coming to Stadia May 5th. The old rare exclusive Stadia title. We have Trek to Yomi. That's probably the big one for the whole month. That is PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, and that is coming out May 5th, 4 days from now. So look forward to that. I did apply for a review code to hopefully play it before it comes out on stream. I don't see that happening, but if I do get it, I will certainly make an announcement in the Discord. So yeah, that's what we have coming out this week. Obviously, it's not a huge lineup, but it is getting into the summer months, so we'll probably see a little bit of a lull in game releases anyway. So that's where we're at for that. And then we have this week in gaming history, Red Dead Revolver, Xbox and PS2. That came out 18 years ago. Castlevania Aria of Sorrow on the Game Boy Advance. That came out 19 years ago. Phenomenal Castlevania title. Excite Bike 64, 22 years ago, of course, on the N64. Mario Party 3, 21 years ago on the N64. Wolfenstein 3D came out on the PC 30 years ago.
Oh my God, seriously?
Yeah. And Castlevania, OG Castlevania, 35 years ago. I still remember the day I bought that game. That was an electronics boutique in the middle of the mall, which unfortunately GameStop bought and is now is a shitty shirt store now. We have Earthworld. This is a wild one. I know about Earthworld. Do you know about Earthworld? The Sword Quest?
No, I don't.
So this came out on the Atari 39 years ago. Sword Quest was supposed to be a 4-part game, and it was a championship. So Earthworld was the first one. I think Waterworld was the second one. Then Airworld, and then Fireworld. Airworld and Fireworld never got finished.
Never got made.
Yeah. So Earthworld, you won like a golden crown, I believe it was, and like a little, like real jewel encrusted golden crown. There was a chalice. You could win a whole ass sword and then a philosopher's stone. So each game had one that you could win, and the two, I think the chalice and the sword or the crown made it out into the wild because we had a winner for Earthworld and we had a winner for Waterworld, and then the other two didn't get made, so we don't know to this day where the other two went. And this is what happened was Atari folded in the middle of this, and it was bought up by a new guy, and it's rumored that the new guy had the sword and I think the Philosopher's Stone above a mantle, but it's never been confirmed, and to this day we have no idea where it is. Maybe sometime I'll go more into that, because that is a really interesting topic, to say the least there.
Yeah.
But yeah, look into that. There are actually some good documentaries on that on YouTube already, so go check it out. I think Gaming Historian did a really good one, so go check that out if you're interested in more of that at home here. And then back on track here, Lucas Games, founded 40 years ago, and Mystery House came out on the Apple II 42 years ago. So yes. World-renowned Mystery House. Where
were you when Mystery House came out?
I threw that on there because I was like, we don't see Apple II releases on these lists too often, so I figured I'd chuck that one out there. And it's crazy, 42 years. I mean, we're nearing half a century of gaming here. As far as I would say, more mainstream play. That's wild, crazy shit.
I think we talked about last week how wild it is that, like, we were born in a generation where gaming wasn't that big yet, and now you've got the generation behind us being born with like game systems in their hands at birth, basically. Like it's not just a thing that existed, but it's like a cultural norm. Everybody says it's normal, it's expected, it's not like a weird thing anymore. So like they're growing up at a time when like everybody talks about video games and what games they play, whereas like when me and you were in school, like some people played video games and a lot of people looked at them and they were like, whoa, why? Like, yeah. So it's really bizarre to watch this culture shift and like think about how cool it is. Like the progress is awesome to see it happen.
Sure.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we went to it last week. I will say something cool. Let me send you a link to something cool if you haven't seen this yet.
Sure.
Well, I sent you a link already for a different article I thought was cool. Sonic the Hedgehog 2 is the highest grossing video game movie of all time.
Ooh,
It is
nice.
tearing it up right now.
Holy shit. You love to see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know what it is like I was thinking about the other day, Sonic 2 is all the good parts of like a fan service movie. It hits all the beats that we want as people who enjoy the old Sonic games.
But
And it
people who
doesn't feel
didn't
like
can
it's
still watch it.
Yeah, exactly. But it's not like you had to have played those games to get it. Like
Right.
the Snow Mountain obviously means more to us than it would mean to like my son who never played Sonic 3
Mhm.
or was it 2? I think it was 3. But even like today, I was talking to my son about it, and I was like, "Yeah, like remember in the movie the fist bump?" And he's like, "Yeah." I'm like, "That was from Sonic Forces," and he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "There was a whole mechanic in that game where like Sonic and your character would fist bump, and they would do the double boost and take off,
Mhm.
and that's why in the movie it was like an important factor or whatever." And he was like, "Oh, I didn't even get it as a game reference." And I'm like, "Dude, the movie is like packed with game references that you probably didn't see, but it
Yeah.
didn't matter. It was still an enjoyable movie for him,
Sure. And of
It
course,
was
we
just
see
cool to see.
the fans see the Chaos Emeralds. We know what's coming.
Yep.
But the game, the movie explains it, kind of alludes that stuff is coming with that Chaos Emerald. They did it weird with the Master Emerald and the Chaos Emeralds because they skipped the whole
Yeah,
Hyper Emerald
being
thing.
like a
But I
thing.
understand why.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But like you said, it would have felt bad if the entire movie was like a goose chase to find every Chaos Emerald. So they did it in a way that makes it work for a movie and not necessarily
Sure.
a game, and that's not very rarely executed well. So
Yeah, absolutely.
it's good to see that they're doing gangbusters on this.
For sure. If you want to check out, I sent you 2 more links just now. The first one is the link page for EXOK Games Earthblade game, which I don't know if you know. EXOK it
Mhm.
used to be Matt Makes Games, and now they're Extremely OK Games. EXOK. They are the people who made Celeste and Towerfall, and they're
Oh.
making an RPG now called Earthblade. So that one, yeah, there's a screenshot of like the game sort of running is what it looks like, and they've got a bit blurb about making the game and the projects and everything.
Sure.
And then the other link I sent you is the main page for Earthblade. You can actually just hit games on the left and hit Earthblade when it comes up. And there's a page for like there's one big like art piece for the game, and then at the bottom there's there's one song that Lena Raine made for it.
Mm-hmm.
Which I mean the logo is very reminiscent to me of like SNES style.
Yeah,
like,
I get like
graphics and gameplay.
Legends of Mana vibes off of this really hard.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see that. I loved Celeste, and Towerfall was super fun on the gameplay perspective. There wasn't really a lot of plot to the game, but the gameplay was awesome in Towerfall. And there was a lot of secrets buried in Towerfall and in Celeste. So I'm very excited to see them take an RPG approach to their games now.
Oh, hell yeah.
I'm very excited to see what this turns into. This is on my watch list for sure.
Oh, definitely. That's like Sea of Stars for me, man. Oh boy.
Yep, Sea of Stars is in the same boat.
Oh boy, does that hit all the notes.
I think my watch list right now, I think would be Sea of Stars and Earthblade. I was going to say Tunic because Tunic was on the list and then it came out and it hit. I would say it met any of my expectations pretty good. I don't think like there was any real. I think that the little bits of things that I didn't like about the game aren't enough to like make me be like, oh yeah, I wouldn't recommend it or anything. It's still a phenomenal game that people should finish
Sure.
one of these days.
I'll
Yeah, I said that GIF, and you're like, "What game is that?" And Dark was like Tunic, and you're like, "Oh, holy shit!"
Yeah, it's a completely. It must have been like the end boss because that's a complete departure from the rest of like at least the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it's not quite the end boss, but it's in an area of the game. I would say it's like 3/4 of the way through the game. In an area that purposely looks nothing like the rest of Tunic on purpose. You'll see when you get
Sure.
there.
Well, I mean, I've been into a couple caves and stuff, and like those caves usually look really weird and
like tech oriented,
out
right?
there, very tech. Yeah.
Natural. Yeah.
What's
exactly
interesting but good juxtaposition to have.
It's an add-on to this. There's a story justification for why that exists, and that's tied to it.
Makes sense.
But you'll see when you get there. I mean, whatever.
I'm there for
it. But it's really good. And yeah, Sea of Stars, this Earthblade game. I mean, obviously Final Fantasy 16, not exactly an indie title, but definitely something I'm interested in because Yoshi P has been killing it in 14 for the last several years. And if they let him have his way with 16, I think it's going to be phenomenal.
Oh, absolutely.
And I would say those other 2 games, I haven't actually checked out the the demo for one of them, but that bow game is still getting a lot of development updates very rapidly and getting new alphas every other week, it feels like. So I will report to you when I get to play the next one and tell you how it is. But everything I played so far is like it needs a little polish, but it's great. Overall, it feels good.
The beta you're playing?
Yeah, so they've been doing alphas of it,
okay.
like closed alphas. Unfortunately, I can't push the footage or anything.
Sure,
but they do have, I think, Gaijin Goomba did play it on stream and was allowed to do it on stream, so you can see the footage of that build, and
cool.
it's a good Metroidvania that feels like it's missing the polish, like the movement and everything feels like the basics as opposed to like nice fine-tuned. It's no Hollow Knight or Metroid Dread yet, but the building blocks are there for it to be like that once it's fine-tuned.
Gotcha.
I like it a lot. I think it's really cool. And then there's the other one. I think it's called Berserk Boy, which I also didn't get to play the demo of yet, but it's on Steam. Anyone can go play it if they want to go play it. And it's a Mega Man X inspired action game.
Yeah, I downloaded it, and that's as far as I got with it. Maybe I'll play that tonight.
I totally forgot to do the download of it, but I know it's there still.
Sure.
So yeah.
Cool.
The last 5 years and up and running still going forward, it's been a wild time to be an indie fan. Like especially if you were like a gamer in the Nintendo Super Nintendo era, like it feels like the best indie games coming out the last 5 years, like Undertale, Deltarune, Celeste, they've all been hitting those like Super Nintendo notes.
Yeah,
it's a really cool like renaissance of that kind of medium.
Hyper Light Drifter, Moonlighter.
Yeah.
Oh my god, dude, all that stuff out there right now.
Even
so
dude,
good.
You asked me like I've spent most of the last week playing either a 10-year-old MMORPG built on a franchise from 30 years ago, or Vampire Survivors, which is very much a Super Nintendo game at heart.
You've been playing Chrono Trigger, which I mean that's nail on the head.
That might even be considered a Super Nintendo game, right?
100%. I mean, quintessential Super Nintendo game.
Yeah. It's cool to see that medium can still succeed.
100%. Yeah, I love it.
It's awesome.
My daughter makes fun of me for like, I don't play those pixel games, and it's like, kid, you don't get it. I understand that you like what you like, but at the same time, it's like sometimes there's just you can't beat the old school feel.
Oh yeah, dude. The other like a couple months ago, I let Chase play The Witch's House. It was a free download on itch.io, and like, dude, it's literally like an RPG Maker game. Like, you know what I mean? One of those like flat sprite moving games.
Right. And
he still had a great time with it, even though it's literally like an RPG Maker like SNES style game. But like, I mean, his gaming influence is very heavily influenced by what I like, and I like a lot of stuff like Deltarune, Undertale, Celeste. So he picks right up on that stuff, and as a result, he watches me like play them, and he likes them. So they really like Tunic and stuff. So they appreciate the stuff that I appreciate. So it's cool to not have to like look at my kids and be like, Dad, look, Fortnite, and I'm like, and they're like, but it's cool. And I'm like, okay, well, you do Fortnite, I'm gonna do Tunic.
Right.
But raising them right, I guess. But
yeah,
trying to
100%.
But yeah. Yeah, it's just, I mean, and we've still got Toby Fox in the wings doing Deltarune chapters 3 through 5 in the next couple of years, he said. So.
Yeah. So is that ever going to be a complete game, or is he going to release it in pieces and just charge for like the next couple chapters?
I think he said 3 through 5 might be where he starts charging.
Okay.
But I'm not sure how that's going to go. I know 1 and 2 are free and have been free perpetually. But I know that he doesn't want to make them free forever, because obviously a studio doesn't function if your games are always free.
Well, of course. I'm
it was
surprised
really nice
got
of
a
him.
second one free. That was kind of
too. When 2 came out and was also free, I was surprised, because I thought it was going to be like Bendy and the Ink Machine, where it was like the first one was free and then they charged you for the remaining ones. But oh boy, I mean, I can't even. Did you ever? Do you know the story about Bendy and the Ink Machine? This might have to be a topic for another time, I guess.
I know like the backstory of it.
Not the game, but like the company.
I'm not familiar now.
Oh boy, I will save it for off screen.
Okay,
it is a long story. I mean, I'll give you the clip notes very quickly.
Yeah.
The 2 people who ran the studio ran it into the ground. Very quickly, very hard, and and that's why we don't have any like. That's why if you've noticed, there's like no Bendy games the last year or 2. Like that brand is dead. That's why.
Oh.
They crashed and burned extremely hard.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah, well, and it sucks because like they had a franchise that was like competing. There was Bendy dolls in stores. There was Bendy merchandise. Like people were making music around the games. Like everybody loved that franchise, and then they boom.
Oh, no.
And then now here we are with no more Bendy stuff. Like, as far as I can tell, I don't think Bendy's ever going to be doing anything anymore.
Unless another company picks up the rights to
Like
it or something.
picks the bones or something.
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah. As far as I can tell, the I forget the name of the company. They were called like the Meatly Games, but they changed their name. They, as far as I can tell, they are a husk and don't have any plans to revive or anything. But I'll talk to you about that after the stream because
Sure.
that's a whole. I could be here for an hour explaining all that.
That's fair. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this show. But, quickly, we just have a couple things here. Social media, of course, is Game Dude Retro on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll be Retro Game Dude on Twitch and TikTok as well. Schedule-wise, of course, Sunday nights is the SuperScope podcast. We'll be back this Tuesday and Wednesday for Lego Star Wars, and this Saturday, we are going to not play Jackbox. We're going to play some Gartic Phone and maybe some Goose Goose Duck, so be there for that. If you have Goose Goose Duck, you are absolutely more than welcome to play. And of course, Gartic Phone is an online game. Obviously, you guys are welcome to play that as well. So we'll be back for that then next Saturday. So that's all I have. And I'm going to try Anchor, which hosts the podcast, has some editing tools that they've added in there. So now looks like I'm going to at least what I'm going to try, but I should be able to get these episodes up tonight. This episode up tonight, and then have it ready for Monday morning download for your commute to work. So look forward to listening to us bitch for gaming if you missed the live stream. So there you go. Look for us, like I said, on Spotify. Where it's SuperScope podcast. We're on Stitcher and Google Podcasts as well. So that's all I have for this week, and we will see you guys next Sunday for another SuperScope podcast.
Easy.